This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining us today is Professor Richard Conroy, the chairman of Conroy Gold. Hi, Richard. Good to have you on again. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you, Mark?
Yes, not so bad. Thank you, Richard. Doing okay. So the Mines Royal option has been granted to the joint venture company. And this is the right to conduct mining operations. Is that right? And this is the last piece
metals.
of precious metals.
Yes, indeed. That's precious metals, gold and silver, come within the purview of the Crown Commission. And so that's why it's necessary to have their permission. What they've granted us is an option which extends for several years ahead, and that leaves us free to get on with whatever's necessary in relation to gold or precious metals right up to the mining stage from the point of view of permission. But of course, we will also in due course have to go through the local authority planning permission before one could start bringing in a mine. So it gives us a very clear cover for both exploration and development right up to the planning permission stage.
Okay, that's clear. And is this the last piece of the jigsaw then to complete all the formalities of the joint venture?
It's the last of the conditions, yes, indeed. Everything is now complete, and we'll now proceed to implementing the joint venture agreement, yeah.
Okay, so I guess you can expect receipt of that 1 million euros payment at some point.
Yes, that will be part of it when we mutually sign off over the next day or two, or a week or two, whatever it is. Then the transfer takes place. All the conditions have now been fulfilled on both sides.
Okay, good. Well, it's good to hear that. Good to hear the all the formalities are complete. So let's take a look at some of the plans then to take this project to the construction ready status that's been spoken about before. You've announced a drilling program, 3,000 meters planned for April. Can you elaborate on these plans and set out the objectives that you want to achieve?
Yes, the primary objective is to bring in a gold mine at Clontibret, and this program, which has been announced with 3,000 meters, is the commencement of the necessary drilling there. There'll be a lot more drilling. This is only just, even though it's 3,000 meters, which is quite a lot of drilling, it's still only the start of the overall drilling program. And that overall drilling program will be to do whatever drilling is necessary in order to bring in a mine at Clontibret. We've already, of course, done a great deal of drilling there. We already have a JORC resource of 500,000 ounces, but it'll be to complete any extension drilling, complete infill drilling, any technical drilling that's necessary, any hydro drilling, that sort of thing. So there'll be a great deal of drilling done. Put it in the context of that the joint venture will be spending a minimum of 4.5 million in the first phase of moving towards that. And that minimum, of course, doesn't include all the rest of the work that it'll be doing on various other licenses. So it's a very major program indeed, of which this first 3,000 meters is simply the very first stage commencing that. But what I was very pleased about is that we hope to commence it before the end of April. So effectively, we're commencing it as soon as is feasible and practical to do so. But as part of it's the initial stage in a much wider program. And as the primary focus is bringing in a mine at Clontibret, but of course what we're looking at is an entire new gold district, which our colleagues will be earning into, and The process is by drilling and program and other work, which be 4.5 million, as I've mentioned, plus in the first stage, then a further 4.5 million in the second stage, but probably several millions more than that, because what we're aiming for is having a mining permit, planning permission, in other words, being ready to go ahead with the actual construction of a mine at Clontibret. And as I mentioned, this is just the start. So it certainly transforms our position from being an exploration company. Admittedly, when we've made this clear down through the years that we felt that there was a very large potential in the Longford Down Massif. But it's taken a long time, as major gold discoveries tend to, as we know from previous work we've done and that others obviously have done. But now it's come to fruition, and we now move from the primarily exploration stage to the primarily development stage, and not just of a single mine, which would be the usual situation with a junior exploration company, that it finds a deposit, and if it's fortunate, it brings in a partner. They don't usually, the deals usually don't mean you get anywhere near holding on to 40% of it, but nonetheless, it tends to be just a single deposit. We're looking at something far larger than that. Of an entire new gold district, which is now effectively owned by the joint venture, our good partners, and ourselves. It's a very, very strong position to be in, and of course transforms our situation, in terms of the potential, and transforms our situation in the fact that we no longer have to carry the financial burden. So it's really is a tremendous situation, tremendous stage to have reached it.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned there that this drilling that's going to go ahead in April, this 3,000, is part of the development plans. So I'm thinking, what about plans then beyond, or indeed in conjunction with this drilling? I mean, do you talking about building a resource, or building the confidence, or working towards a PEA, a PFS? What can you give any idea of perhaps the ambition or the vision of the joint venture for this year, where you would like to be, or if we can perhaps see a timeline of things that you would like to achieve this year that really go towards taking this project significantly further?
Well, I think the fact that we're starting on the drilling pretty well immediately is an indication that we really want to get on with the project, both our joint venture partners and ourselves. The object is, as soon as possible, to bring in a gold mine at Clontibret. There's already a resource there of 500,000 ounces. There's already a preliminary PEA, which indicates its financial and technical viability. And that's what we'll be working on. And hopefully by the end of this year, we'll be far advanced. The drilling program that we're talking about at the moment is just simply the start of whatever drilling is necessary. And as well as proceeding with Clontibret, we will also be proceeding, first of all, to fulfill minimum work requirements on the various other licenses we have, but probably also moving very rapidly in relation to the Clay Lake potential. And again, it's difficult, I think, even for ourselves to realize the potential magnitude. But when we talk about 2 to 3 million at Clontibret and maybe a combined figure of 9-10 million in the sort of Clontibret, Glenish, Clay Lake area, that's simply to a shallow depth of a couple of 100 meters. We're not even talking about the potential at depth, which could be, we just don't know, could be far greater for all we know. So it's, and that's just at one end of the overall district. But we'll certainly, with our partners, and we're delighted that they're moving ahead straight away with a drilling program, and that we'll be aiming to complete whatever drilling is required to make a planning application and mining permit application for Clontibret. There'll also be a lot of, for example, environmental work going on, water testing and all the rest of that sort of thing. So there'll be a great deal of work happening, and it's starting pretty well right away. It's starting now in April with the drilling program, and some of the environmental work will probably be starting before that. So
Okay.
it is a very active, positive program in which there's going to be a lot happening, a lot of progress in a relatively short space. Everything takes time, but relatively short space of time. And it's an overall program as well. It's not just simply Clontibret. It'll be working on Clay Lake and various other properties and targets within the area. And it's moving ahead right away.
Okay. And just thinking on typical mine development, just from other companies that have been speaking to it in the space, will you start to go through, does it begin with a PFS, a pre-feasibility, or a PEA, a pre-economic assessment? Do these kind of studies that you go through and you go to then feasibility and then bankable feasibility, would Conroy on the joint venture project go through that process?
Well, it's the joint venture that will be going ahead with that. And you mentioned bankable feasibility. We'll certainly be bringing it to the stage of bankable feasibility. One needs to do that from the point of view of getting a mining permit. But our joint venture partners are financially in an exceptionally strong position. So it's not a question, certainly not for them, of bankable feasibility fund in order to finance the thing. They're more than capable of doing that. And not only are they more than capable of doing their own 57.5%, but as I've mentioned, they're perfectly capable of doing the entire thing and giving us a 25% carry. We'll certainly be looking at, however, the potential to hold on to 42.5%. But we don't look on that. Certainly, everything that you do, you have to consider very carefully and see what's best for the company. But since we're already assured of the financing for 57.5% and coverage of the remaining 42.5% as needs be, I don't see it as being a major financing problem for ourselves to look at the possibility of retaining the full 42.5%. Now, that's obviously in the future, but it's not in the far too distant future. We've changed now from an exploration company, which has been remarkably lucky, shall we say, for a start. You always need good luck, but has achieved a major discovery in a whole new gold district, a multi-million ounce gold district. We're looking at, 14, 20 million, perhaps much more. So it's a very major discovery. But we've moved on from that now. We've made our major discovery. And what we're moving on to now is moving into a situation in which the company will have quite a significant market share in relation to gold production, in relation to this first mine and subsequent mines. So it's an entire new situation for us. We're now basically a development company with finance assured and with the potential to go very far indeed. And it's a marvelous situation to be in, quite frankly, most exciting. And really, it's taken a long time to get here, but my goodness, we really got somewhere.
And at this stage now then, Richard, as you say, going into the development of a mine rather than an exploration company, would the joint venture look to put out like a timeline, a graphic or something, or some kind of announcement that sets out kind of just estimates, rough dates of perhaps when you want to achieve certain things, so the market knows what to expect?
Yeah, I think that will be coming, but I think the main factor there is the fact that our good colleagues, and obviously we ourselves, want to go ahead straight away, and we have the funding and technical expertise to do so. So the timeline, inevitably these things take time, and they have to be done very measured manner, and they have to be done very thoroughly and very carefully. But we'll be looking at as short a timeline as possible, and that's the message to the market. We're getting on with this.
Okay. And will someone from DEMA be on site in the project to oversee operations, or will it be done from distance with your team?
Well, it's been marvelous, really, in a way that despite COVID and despite all the difficulties in travel and so on, that we've got as far as we have. But yes, of course, the Demer people have a very large technical department, a large mining department. They already have gold mines out in Turkey, and we look forward to their being here on a permanent basis. As well as that, obviously, there will be other recruitment required. So yes, we'll be working together on that. They obviously are the prime movers now in this, but we will still be playing, I hope, a helpful role in relation to development.
Okay. Well, Richard Conroy, the chairman of Conroy Gold, thank you for giving us that update.
Good to talk with you. Thank you, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.